Hey, let's take it from the top. Thank you both so much. Appreciate you taking the time. Thank you all so much. We know that time is valuable. My parents and my dad specifically always said time is money. So we appreciate you taking the time. You guys are coming to us from Chicago, I take it?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, man. Excellent. We're at home here at the house here in New Jersey, 15 minutes outside the city. And before we get too far along, congratulations on 7 years with
Thank
the
you
book
very
Relentless.
much. Thank you.
Congrats. You guys have co-written the book, and I just want you to know, even earlier in my playing days when you released Jump Attack, I ordered Jump Attack, and I had that book as well, and was doing some of those exercises, some of the lunges and stuff, which helped me in the net and on the ice. So
appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Congrats on the original. We love Relentless. And here's what's crazy about Relentless, though, and you guys wrote this from an honest point of view. There's no question about it. It's based on experience. It's based on expertise and a lot of sweat equity. But I will say this. Do you know that Relentless, the hashtag Relentless right now has over 1 million? There are more than 1 million people that have hashtagged it. And that word has become a thing. So even now in our league, for example, in the NHL, you'll hear coaches say, we got to be relentless. We got to get it on the forecheck. You hear players in interviews say, we got to be relentless. So where did that word come from, and how'd you come by that word?
Well, you know, with the athletes that I train, you know, my big three, I mean, obviously I've had hundreds of them, but, you know, Michael, Kobe, and DWade, everything they did was relentless. They didn't have to wait for a certain moment, or a coach had to tell them, hey, this is how, you know, we need you to be relentless. The way they trained was relentless. The way they studied was relentless. The way they took, watch film, the way they played, the way they practiced, everything was relentless. They left everything they had in those sessions. I mean, it's funny, in any sport or in any business, the most gifted, the most hardworking individuals are also your most relentless individuals. You don't need to tell them to be relentless. You know, now we're in this, it's funny, we're in this pandemic, and everyone's saying, you know, you got to be relentless. You should have already been relentless.
True.
It shouldn't take this setback or this dramatic of a thing to happen for you to start being relentless. There should be some aspects of your life that you're already relentless in, and you learn from those experiences and you take it into other aspects. So the way relentless is it's a lifestyle. You know, it's not, you know, just like people say when they go on diets, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. Being relentless is a lifestyle, and it comes from overcoming things, not being worried about being different, not having the issues of standing out, not caring what other individuals say. I mean, you look at yourself, what you've accomplished. A NHL player.
Thank you.
From Barbados. You're like, huh? That's just like, you got to be like that. And how many times would people tell you, that's just not, it's just, what are you doing? What are you doing, Kevin? It's just not going to happen. And every time you heard those words, your level of relentlessness got even higher and higher and higher. So it's those things that happen to you early, and how you use those things and how you develop them may give you the ability to be relentless on a regular basis.
Thank you so much for that, man. Here, let's take it back, because it's interesting that you just said it. And both of us have parents that have emigrated from different places. And in your instance, you had your parents that, oh, we got a guest. I love that.
Yes, yes.
That's cool.
That's my little buddy here. This is Cody.
Cody, what's up, man? That's in-house security for you right there.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yes, yeah. Are you kidding me?
So
I mean, he runs. During this whole time, I was just like, yesterday it finally hit me.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't train him, but he's got me trained so well.
Exactly. Well said. Same thing with our cat, Vladdy, who's upstairs.
We got a cat in the house too, Haroldines, running our rounds there somewhere.
Aw, too cute, man.
Yeah.
So, no, we were saying, like, what's interesting is for you and for me, you know, we both come from immigrant backgrounds. My parents came from the Caribbean, came from Barbados to Canada. Your parents came from India and then went to London, UK, and then you guys moved to Chicago. And I know the story about the suitcase, and it's a powerful story. And I'm going to tell you, I know that story because I know a lot of times when we would go to the grocery store or we go to Kmart or whatever, with my mom and dad, sometimes my mom would say, you're getting one toy, or no toys today. We're coming for groceries. I'm coming for stuff for the house. No toys today.
And you knew that going in.
And you knew it going in. Like, you couldn't act up. You couldn't be like, Mom, how come? No, there was none of that. You know, I respect my parents so much to this day. But all in saying that, you know, with my parents and my sister, and the same thing with you and your upbringing, tell us how that helped to shape you being a first generation, because it certainly helped shape me and my sister. What about on your end?
It teaches you to earn. It teaches you now, and I'm not talking about earn money. I'm talking about earn everything you want in life, including respect. You know, when something is when it's just given to you, you know, you go in and, you know, you ask for this, this, and this, it's given to you. There's a big difference between earning what others have and what you want than asking for somebody else just to give it to you. You learn so much from the sweat equity and all the other things to be like, hey, I want to earn this. And when you earn it comes that respect. This isn't about it isn't too many times when people feel like they have to earn things, they're worried about whether people are going to like them or not, because when you earn things, it creates distance between you and those other individuals. Our parents had to earn everything, so it was easy for us to see, and it was embedded in us. You know, now too many times things are not earned; they're given. They're what's the word I'm looking for? It's just like they're implied, like people are expecting that this should come along. You know, to me, in the sports industry, it's the participation trophies.
Right. I know you talked about that. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So there's a level of gratitude for yourself. There's a level of sweat equity. There's a level of accomplishment when you have to go out and earn those things. Now, even you go back to the example of when your parents said one toy. You did something either in school, playing hockey, around the house to earn that toy.
True.
You know, they just didn't say, all right, today Kevin's going to get a toy. No, there was something you did to earn that. Now, whether you knew what it was back then or you didn't, but the level of earning was embedded in individuals early. Yeah,
you're right. That sacrifice that we've been able to see from our parents and our families over those years, certainly that left the imprint. You know, that was a big part of the blueprint. And both my parents worked. My dad at Laura Secord / Nestle's at the chocolate plant for years, 30 plus years. My mom at Blue Cross for 35 years. And I know that your family was in healthcare. And interestingly enough, you got your master's in kinesiology. You wanted to venture into health, but in a different way. I want to start with the letter, because a lot of times people, and all of us, I don't know, there's some trepidation, there's some fear. You started with the letter, and people will often say, I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to be vulnerable. But you started with the letter, and ironically, you sent letters to everybody but Michael Jordan. Tell us what happened next.
Well, you know what? I was like, back then, listen, there wasn't email. Right. All right. So the only way to communicate with somebody was through a letter. All right. So I was like, okay. And I'm sitting here. I'm like, I always knew I wanted to train professional athletes. Well, I wanted to be a professional athlete like yourself, but I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. All right. I was fortunate enough to play college basketball, but I knew I wasn't good enough to play at the next level. But I knew I still wanted to be involved in professional sports somehow. So I was like, okay, if I'm not good enough to play, I know a lot about the body. I know how to make athletes better. I know how to keep them injury free. I know how to deal with different mindsets. All right, let's take this route. So what I did was I wrote 14 letters to the 14 players on the Chicago Bulls organization. The person I was actually targeting, and you have to be a basketball historian to know this, was Brad Sellers.
I remember Brad Sellers, totally.
Yes, out of out of Ohio State, exactly, a 7-footer who liked to stay on the perimeter and shoot.
Right.
If he was coming in the draft this year, he'd probably be a lottery pick.
Yeah, exactly.
But back then he was like 7 feet, maybe a buck 85.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And your goalie equipment weighed more than what he weighed.
That's funny.
And so I was like, okay, I can help this guy. I can, because back then everybody's like, well, if you lift weights, you're actually going to get slower. You don't want to get bulky. It's going to end up your jump shot. So I had I had ideas and concepts of like, no, this isn't right. I had the research to back it up. I did not get one response back. The one person that showed interest in the letter was the individual I didn't send a letter to, and that was Michael Jordan.
Wow.
He took the letter out of somebody else's locker and handed it to the athletic trainer at that time and said, hey, find out what this guy's about.
Wow.
And by then, he was already one of the best, if not the best, to play. So that made a shift in my mindset right away, because I was like, you know what? Now I get it why he's the best. Mm-hmm. Because the people that are on the top of their game are always looking to get better and better and better. If you look at all the teams that you played for, mm-hmm. you had, and obviously you get to commentate for all the different teams, and you see that the players that you have the least issue with, the ones that work the hardest, the ones that are constantly relentless, the ones that show up to practice early, stay late, do all the extra work, the ones that are the most gracious with the fans, are your best players.
Yeah, by and large, for sure. Totally.
It's not even close. Yeah. They want to get better. They want to figure out how to extend their career. Mm-hmm. They're never satisfied with the results that they have. You have more issues with your lower end players, your fringe players, the middle of the players, your stars. Yeah, they may give you other issues, but not from a competitive work ethic, wanting to get better standpoint. They are all in. So when Michael got that letter, for the next 3 months, I got contacted by the team physician, who was Dr. John Heffron, and the athletic trainer, which was Mark Feil at the time. And they met with me. They kept asking me questions. They wanted me to take tests. They did evaluations. So I'm like, okay, one of those letters got to somebody. I just didn't know who it was.
Sure.
So I was like, fine. So we went through this whole process. They wanted to make sure that their philosophies were a little different than the strength and conditioning coach of the Bulls at that time.
Right.
And they wanted to know what my philosophies were, what I could do, because obviously, there's like the franchise of the organization said, hey, talk to this guy.
Right.
So their butts were on the line also. So after 3 months, they told me, hey, listen, we want you to meet the client, meet the prospective client at his house at, I forget, it was like 1:30.
So hold on, you didn't know this was him?
I did not know it was him. I had no idea it was him.
Okay, go ahead.
So, and then back then, Michael lived in I won't say a modest house, but it was a house where you could literally walk up and ring the doorbell.
Right.
All right. So I walk up, I ring the doorbell, all right, and he answers the door.
Wow.
All right. First mistake, I'm wearing Converse.
Yeah.
Well, and the first thing he did was he looked down at my shoes.
Right.
All right. So I took them off before I got, you take off shoes when out of respect, but
totally.
It was just like,
yeah.
But I also had a big hole in my sock, so I'm like, all right, where do you go with it?
Sure.
So he took me downstairs to the basement. He talked to me for about 30 minutes, explained to me your philosophy, explained to me what you can do, how this is gonna benefit my game, because he's heard all the things where, if you get bulky, you're not going to be you're not going to be as explosive. You're not going to be as flexible. It's going to throw off your shot. And I kind of laid out a plan for him to say, hey, this is what's going to happen in 30 days. I said, yes, initially your shot is going to need some adjustment. This is how you're going to feel. This is what's going to go on. And he was like, he goes, this sounds too good. I said, give me 30 days. We didn't discuss money. We didn't discuss term, nothing, none of that.
We were just auditioning, basically.
I was auditioning, but the one thing that I was never a starstruck person. So that was the one thing my parents always taught me. Never be a starstruck person. All right. What you have to say is just as valuable as the other person, no matter what level they're at, as long as you know what you're talking about.
True.
You know, and then you talk about different cultures. I don't know about how your parents felt, but in the Indian culture, education is extremely important.
Barbados has an almost 100% literacy rate, so it's important there too. Yeah. Because all British, right? Exactly. Totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's extremely important. My dad always used to say, listen, they can take everything away from you, but they can't take away your education.
Right. Yeah.
So I kind of laid the plan out, and he just said, I said, what? He goes, all right, let's do this. I said, when do you want to get started? He said, tomorrow.
Just like that.
Just like that. He said tomorrow. So I was like, okay. He goes, how long is it going to take you to equip this? He gave me this little space in the basement. I said, I need to be in the house by 7 a.m. by the time you get done with practice, everything will be set up. So I literally went out that day and bought all the equipment off of my own credit card.
Wow.
Off my own thing. I put the own charges on there. I said, here it is. Loaded it up. All right. The next morning at 7 a.m., I'm at his house, unloading the stuff, putting everything together, make sure everything is set up, the rubber flooring, the benches, the weights, whatever I needed on that particular to get this thing started. By the time he got back from practice, which was about 1:30, I was ready to go.
If you want another amazing video highlighting excellence in the Indian community, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.